Hi everyone, it's Jennifer from Fine Fluency here today on a bit of a grey Scottish day, unfortunately, but we're on to mini lesson 5. Can't believe we're actually here at mini lesson 5, on to our 5th lesson already. Y hoy hacemos los números y las edades. So last lesson we were looking at a verb. We looked at our first verb, we looked at subject pronouns. It probably got a little bit technical and maybe a bit complicated for our absolute beginners. So we're taking a little step back this week. We did, I don't know if you remember, but a couple of weeks ago we did dates, numbers up to 31, months and dates. So we're just taking a step back to that, and we're going to cover the rest of the numbers up to 100. And then we're going to have a look at las edades, which are ages, right? So basically, at the end of this lesson, ideally being able to ask somebody else their age, being able to understand other people's ages, and also being able to give your age in Spanish, which is quite useful. It's a little vehicle for teaching parts of the verb of tener, and we'll get to that a bit later, and also numbers up to 100. Now, back in my school days when I was teaching in school, I could get away with teaching numbers to 30 for our first and second years, and doing dates, and they could also do ages, because I didn't really teach anyone that was over the age of 17, so we didn't really have to go that much higher. For you guys, I obviously realise we've got a very mixed demographic in our group, so we really need to know the numbers up to 100 to be able to give all our ages and also understand other people's ages, okay? So, vamos, empezamos. Let's make a start then. En esta lección vamos a aprender los números hasta 100, so numbers up to 100, as I said. El verbo tener, so the verb tener, and we will get to that later, and I'll explain to you how that's relevant here and why we're learning it. We're probably not going to learn the whole verb. I'm probably just going to do the first 3 parts of the verb today, right? Because it's not the main focus of the lesson. And then las edades, so the reason why we're learning these 2 things is for ages. Lo que necesitas, como siempre, un boli, un lápiz y papel. So keeping it really simple, all you really need is a pen and a pencil and some paper. It may be useful here to just take some little notes. Obviously, with this being a free course, I'm not offering handouts really, or vocab booklets or anything along with it. So it might be useful. I will let you know at which point it might be useful for you to take a couple of wee notes just for what's then going to come next in the lesson. Okay? Vale, repasamos. So a little bit of repaso. Don't know if you remember, this was one of our words of the day, palabra del día, the other day. Repasar, to revise. So repasamos, having a little look at numbers that we've already done, right? So numbers up to 31, I think we'd already done. So let's see if you can remember these. So I'm just going to bring them up as figures first. Get your brain thinking, start thinking, how do I say that again? What's the number for that in Spanish? How do I say that one? Can I remember it? Can I remember these? Try and iron out those little creases in the brain, because it takes a while to go back when you've got a gap. I hope you guys are all doing a little bit of revision yourselves in between these weekly lessons. Remember, little and often is really good, so even if you can just manage 5 or 10 minutes a day, it will really help things transfer from your short-term memory to your long-term memory, especially if you're not immersed in Spanish all the time. So if you're not living in Spain and you're not surrounded by people speaking Spanish all the time, you really have to pay some attention and spend a bit of time looking over words, revising them and learning them, right? So let's see, can you remember these ones? 25, 19, ¿qué pensamos? What do we think? So 25, you weren't to write these down, just have a think and see if you can remember how to say them. So 25, 25, 25. Second one, 19, ¿cómo se dice? How do we say that one? It is 19, 19. 11, 11, quite a simple one. 30, ¿cómo se dice? How do we say that? 30, 30. Number 5 is 22, ¿cómo se dice? Can we remember it? 22, 22. Number 6 is 15. 15. Now remember that QU sound is not a qu, it's a sort of k sound. 15. 29, 29. And then 31. I kind of put this here deliberately. 31. I just wanted to point out again to you that in the 20s are the only sort of decade, if you like. They're the only 10 where we are running the two words together. So you can see there we've got, with number 1, 25. So you've kind of got 20 and 5. It runs all together as one word with an I in the middle, 25. Whereas when you hit 30, and also this is the case with 40, 50, 60, 70, that you put the Y in the middle. Can we remember what the Y meant? I have explained this before. The Y actually means and. So you put the Y in the middle, 31, and you put it as 3 separate words, which literally means 30 and 1 or 31. So 32, therefore, is 32, 33, 33, and so on and so forth, okay? Now, I am not going to give you a big, massive list of all the numbers from 30 to 100. I don't think you need it. What you really need to know is, how do I say 30? How do I say 40? How do I say 50? And as long as you know the numbers 1 to 9, you can do those on your own, basically, right? So, well done if you got them right, or even if you got some of them right, because it's quite hard to remember them when you're only seeing them, once a week or so. Los números, numbers. I don't have to tell you how useful numbers are in everyday situations for lots of different things. So you're going to need them when you're going shopping, you're going to need them for paying bills, you're going to need them for buying things in a cafe or a restaurant and paying your bill there. You're going to need them to be able to tell the time, make appointments, book transport. So they're everywhere in daily life, so they're really important. So I can't stress to you how important it is that you go away and learn these numbers, basically, and how useful, especially if you're living in Spain or a Spanish-speaking area of the world, how useful this will be to you, right? So 30, we have 30, as we saw. And then 31, as we saw, 31. So I'm going to take you through the tens, essentially, here. And I've given you a little example of like 45, 64 kind of thing, so that you can see what it looks like. So 40 is 40, and 41, 41, 42, 42, 50 is 50, 55, for example, 55, 60, 60, 64, 64, 70, 70, bit confusing that one, 60 and 70. And then 73, for example, 73, 80, 80, 87, 87, for example. 90, 90, 99, 99. And then our last one, 100. We're only going as high as 100 just now. Possibly later on in our series of mini lessons, I may go to the hundreds and thousands and just show you what that looks like and how to use it. But for today, up to 100, I think, is probably enough for us. Let's just go over the pronunciation again. I'm just going to go 30, 40, 50 and so on. And you can maybe repetimos en español, practicamos. So repeating them in Spanish, practicing them a little bit, right? So after me, 30, 30, 30, 40, 40, 40, 50, 50, 50, 60, 60, 60, 70, 70, 70, 80, 80, 80, 90, 90, 90, and 100, 100, 100. Well done, not too difficult. Now, at this point, if you're sort of watching this at your own speed, it may be useful just to pause this and maybe take a little note of these, okay? Because the next exercise will really require you to remember these numbers and know what they look like. So at this point, it may be worthwhile, if you are technically minded, you could pause it and do a little screenshot on your phone or something like that. If not, you can just pause it and write them down. Sometimes, personally, I've been learning languages since I was really young, And I always used to find it quite useful writing things down. I always had, way back in the olden days when I was at school and we didn't have technology really, I always used to find it really, really useful just having a little booklet, and I used to write all the words down in English and French or English and Spanish or whichever language I was learning. And I always find that quite useful, and it just helps consolidate really the learning. Some people now, writing's kind of old hat, and a lot of people don't write, and it's screenshots this and taking pictures of things, and that's fine. These things move on. But personally, I don't think it does any harm to write them down, as long as you can read your own handwriting, which is also becoming an issue even for me, because we write less and less nowadays. So it's up to you. Write them down, take a screenshot, because the next couple of slides do require you to know these, or know what they look like and sound like. Okay, give you a little minute to do that. Moving on. So, first little exercise today, Ejercicio 1. It's the only real exercise we're doing in today's lesson, right? So, rellena los espacios, rellena, complete or fill in the spaces or the blanks, okay? So our first one, we have to put in the missing letters. It's up to yourself how you want to do this. Again, you could write out the whole thing with the missing letters in it, or you might want to just write down what the missing letters are, the 3 missing letters there. It's up to you. It's just a way of us recycling the vocabulary, right? You might find it quite annoying. You're like, I've seen that before. Why are we doing that again? But bear with me. There's method in my madness. We have to see things quite a lot of times before they start to really stick. So you will see a lot of similar vocabulary over and over again in different ways in my lessons. Okay. So number 2. What do we think this is? Which number? Number 3. And again, you could just be saying these out. You don't necessarily have to write them down. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. And number 7. And number 8. Last one. Now, again, you may find it useful at this point just to pause it. I might have gone through that quite quickly for you. So you might find it useful at this point just to pause for a little second, or, a little minute, and complete these exercises. Take your time, go through them. If you've written the numbers down or screenshot them at this point, it might be useful to refer to that to help you do the answers and get them correct. So feel free. This is the beauty of the online learning. You can go at your own pace, you can pause things, you can go back, you can look at them again. And it's one of the absolutely fantastic things about online learning. You don't have that if you're in a classroom in real time and you're kind of going at other people's paces. So this is really good. It's a really good advantage or benefit of the online learning. All right, I'm going to move on. So if you're pausing, pause now. We're going to do las soluciones, the answers. So our answers to our filling in the blanks. Number 1 was 52. Number 2, 75. Number 3, 30. Number 4, 98. Number 5, 10. Number 6, 41. Number 7, 87. And number 8, 64. How did we get on? Well done if you've got some of them or all of them right. That's excellent. It's quite a lot of information to take in, from 30 to 100 in one go. So you just need to keep working at that. If you've only got 4 or 5 right, it's no big deal. We're at the very beginning of it. You've got plenty of time to learn them. Okay, so then we're going to have a little look at this verb, moving on just from having the numbers, because there's not much point in just having those numbers floating on their own and not being able to do anything with them, right? So tener is the verb to have. Hang on a minute. Why are we looking at the verb to have when we're doing ages? Because it doesn't relate, does it, in English? You think that doesn't really make sense. The verb to have is nothing to do with ages. Why are we looking at this, Jennifer? Right, well, because in Spanish, as in French and in Italian as well, my other languages, they use the verb to have to express age. It's something that English speakers have quite a lot of problems with, and it's a very, very common error at the beginning stages of learning, where people will automatically use the verb to be to express age, as we do in English. However, in Spanish, we do not use the verb to be to express age, like I am 30 or whatever. They use the verb to have. So they're literally asking, how many years do you have? And answering, I have 35 years, for example. So we're using the verb to have, not the verb to be. Asking, how many years do you have? And answering, I have. So let's look at a little example of that then, hopefully. So tener is our infinitive of the verb to have. Infinitive, another technical term, always translates as to have, to be, to talk, whatever, okay? First three parts of the verb is what we're going to look at today. So, yo tengo, I have, or just tengo, as you see more commonly. Tú tienes, you have. And then él, ella, or usted tiene, right? So after me, maybe repetimos again. Tengo, tengo, tienes, tienes, tiene, tiene. Good. So I have, you have, he or she has. And our question, la pregunta, ¿cuántos años tienes? So repetimos, let's repeat this. ¿Cuántos años tienes? How old are you? ¿Cuántos años tienes? Or how many years do you have? And our response, tengo, and then we need to put in the number, and then años, okay? Para mí, tengo 38 años. Tengo 38 años. I am so many years old. Did you catch my age? If not, we'll keep it a secret. We'll not be telling everyone. Okay, so I've just chosen a few well-known faces to do examples of ages, and I've kept it really simple. I've kept it in the first person here. So it's how old are you, I am, and then the age. Okay, we've not complicated it at all. So, ¿cuántos años tienes, Sir Paul McCartney? ¿Cuántos años tienes? Tengo 76 años. Tengo 76 años. How old is he then? 76. Do we know? 70, 70, y 6, and 6. So he's 76 years old. Okay. Nadal, Rafa Nadal. I was going to do Andy Murray, obviously, for obvious reasons, but I thought, no, we'll stick with the Spanish theme since we're doing our Spanish lesson. So I've got Rafa. I have to admit, it's not too difficult to look at his picture there, so we wouldn't want too much about it not being Andy Murray. So, ¿cuántos años tienes, Rafa? How old are you? Tengo 33 años. Tengo 33 años. How old is he then? Do we know? 33. 30, 30, 3, 3. Okay, well done. Right, Tiger Woods, not everyone's favourite, okay, but I thought he's universally really widely well known. So I thought I'll use him and everybody will know who he is. ¿Cuántos años tienes? ¿Cuántos años tienes? Tengo 42 años. Tengo 42 años. So 40, 40, yeah, y dos, 2, yeah, so 42 years old. And then finally, Tina Turner, again, universally well known. ¿Cuántos años tienes? ¿Cuántos años tienes? Tengo 78 años. Tengo 78 años. Right, did we get that one? I actually couldn't believe she was that age. 78 años, 70, 70, 8, 8. So 78 years old. Wow, time flies. Okay, well done today, guys. Hoy hemos aprendido, today we've learned, los números hasta 100. El verbo tener, 3 partes del verbo, so 3 parts of the verb. Y las edades en español. So we've done numbers to 100. We've done 3 parts of the verb tener, and we've done ages. Los deberes, so a little bit of homework for you. Can you now say your age and your birthday? Go back if you can't remember how to say your birthday. Remember, cuando es tu cumpleaños? Mi cumpleaños es. And can you give your age? And can you also find out other people's and understand it? Okay. And trying to learn and practice the numbers up to 100, because as I say, they're really, really invaluable for so many different areas of daily life that I think it's really important to spend a bit of time learning those words, okay? Well done. If you're still tuning in, we're on lesson 5. That's fantastic. You're showing some really good commitment if you're staying with me. Now, what could you do for me? You know, I'm doing these lessons and I'm quite happily giving my time for free and helping you out and doing the group, and the group's fab. I'm really enjoying the group. But if you want to help me out and you want to do something for me, you could invite other people to the group that you think it might be useful for. You could go onto the YouTube channel and you could subscribe to the channel. And you could also share the group and just tell people about it. Then that would be really good. If you're enjoying it and you're getting value from it, then that would be really appreciated by me. Thank you very much, guys. Muchísimas gracias. Thanks for joining me today. And I will be back next week with another lesson, and watch out for some little lives maybe and some little video clips. I'm going to be giving some tips on language learning in general, how to learn vocabulary, my favourite resources, reasons why it's good to learn a language and the benefits of it as well. So stay with us, there's lots more to come. Gracias, adios.